Hey, what's up everyone? It's Marco, and this might very well be the best Android phone on the market. Well, with one or two caveats. This is the brand new Moto X, now in its third generation. It's bigger, more powerful, and in my eye, even more pretty than the last two. And the best thing about the new Moto X is its price tag. Starting at $399, it's one hell of a deal for one hell of a phone. So welcome to my review of what might be Motorola's greatest creation so far, the new Moto X. The new Moto X is really about three key things: software, hardware, and price tag. With those three magic words, and if done right, means happy customers. However, it doesn't always mean the most amount of these sold. Motorola's main market is still abroad, and they sell more Moto Gs rather than the Moto X. But this year, Motorola wants to change that. They first started out with the hardware. They have maximized the experience, which somehow also includes making the device 80% larger than the original Moto X. It now spans a mere 6 inches and houses a giant 5.7-inch display. Its construction still relies on good old aluminum and magnesium, which means it's as solid as the second generation. We also have the ability to customize the Moto X like I have done here. You can choose from a new non-slip rubber back, leather, and my favorite, all types of real wood. Now the hardware running inside ain't bad. For example, the display is a new Quad HD LCD panel and the internals are quite impressive. A 6-core, more battery-friendly Snapdragon 808 processor, 3GB of RAM, and 32GB of internal storage. Also, Motorola have warmed to the idea of expansion, so the SIM tray not only houses a nano SIM slot, but a micro SD card slot as well. Motorola have also been hard at work, well, sort of, on the new 21 megapixel camera on the rear. More on that a bit later. The second main thing is the software. Since Motorola is no longer owned by Google, you'd think Motorola, or should I say Lenovo, have started putting more bloat. But that's not the case. Motorola still thinks the best Android experience is Android itself. Although Moto Voice, Moto Display, Moto Actions, and Moto Assist are still around, these features don't take away from the experience but add to them. Overall, the Moto X is running Android 5.1.1 Lollipop and will be upgraded to Marshmallow a bit faster than your typical Samsung or LG device. The experience and performance is absolutely flawless. It runs so smoothly, and it was a nice change to use stock Android than TouchWiz on Samsung's latest Note. Now the performance compared to say a round of 810 processor devices and Samsung's own 7420 devices, I can't really see a huge difference. Obviously the Moto X will clock a lower score on benchmarks, but real world, there is no discernible difference. Now remember that all new 21 megapixel camera? Well, let's talk about that. When Motorola announced the X, they called it best in class smartphone camera. Let's clarify this. The Moto X finally has a good camera, probably the best camera in Moto's lineup. But look at the previous lineup. It's full of 13 megapixel nonsense that was on the Nexus 6, Moto X2, and even worse before then. It's definitely no Note 5, heck, not even a Note 4, but it's a tremendous step up from the last Moto X. Photos are more pleasing to look at, and even the 4K video is somewhat usable, but it's still nowhere close being best in class, not even remotely. Next is battery life. The Moto X is as big as it's ever been, which means it has the largest battery. It's now 3000 mAh, couple that with stock Android and, oh, wait, a not so power friendly LCD panel, and you get battery life similar to that, if not a little bit worse than the last Moto X. The previous generations of the Moto X had AMOLED panels. Why? Because with Moto Display, AMOLEDs can just turn on the pixels required, while an LCD panel has to light up the whole panel. I suppose you can fix the issue by not using Moto Display, but that defeats the purpose of having it in the first place. My average screen on time is around 4 hours at best. Not great by any means, not terrible also. But thankfully Motorola has fitted fast charging here, which will let you pump in more juice in a shorter amount of time. Something that well, the OnePlus 2 forgot to build in. And speaking of the OnePlus 2, here's where the third piece of the Moto X fits in. The OnePlus 2 is what, $389 for the real good one? You get an extra gigabyte of RAM, a less pixel-packed display, no NFC, no expandable storage, no fast charging, and you need an invite to buy one. For only $10 more, you get this, a more pixel-packed display, NFC, fast charging, expandable memory, front-facing speakers, and the most amount of customization you can do to a phone on Earth. And the perfect kicker to seal the deal is no invite is needed. Want one? You can have one, provided you supply Motorola at least 400 of your George Washingtons. So we are back at where we started, the Moto X. Quite possibly the best Android smartphone you can buy today. But what are those caveats? Well, here they are. You have to live with a subpar camera in today's age, which is a real downfall. There's no fingerprint sensor, but in its defense, there's really no good place to put it comfortably. And the last caveat is the battery life. Other than that, this is one unbelievably good smartphone and you should buy one. So that's the full review of the Moto X, quite possibly one of my favorite devices of 2015. Make sure to leave your comments below in the comment section. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe for future videos. And as always, my name is Marco Hanna and I'll catch you guys in the next video.